You're muted. Jennifer.
That's why we have Will here. Welcome everyone this evening to a collaboration with 411 Now. Will Finley's joining me tonight, guys. Letting some people come in. Hello. All right, guys. So tonight we are going to the best of our ability, answer the questions that you have in regards to the Watts case. If you don't know Will, my guest here, he is also a former journalist. So, Will, tell everyone a little bit about your background.
Okay, well, I'll start off early on. I studied journalism and political science at Washington State University with a primary concentration in journalism and emphasis on media analysis. And I think they call it a media analysis critique now. So in case anybody wants to look it up. Most of the time before I started YouTube, I worked in an adjacent media platform. Some people call it a stringer, or a citizen journalist, I guess you could call it. This is before I started YouTube, but
this was before the time of TikTok. In this kind of live streaming world we're in now.
Yeah. Credited work. I've done, four actual complete documentaries. I did with Lifetime Network and TLC and Discovery Channel. I've been featured on, Fox, NBC New York, BBC Channel 2, Gemma, at KDXL 106.5. I was a radio DJ there in the morning. I was the weatherman. Yeah. And then on Park 16, I was a sports and what they called specialty reports. And now my actual on air journalism is nothing compared to Jennifer's. So I mean, I've been there, I've done that, but I'm nowhere near him or had as many people across the world to see me on television or on the radio. So, I'll just turn it over to Jennifer to give you some background on where she's come from and how she got here today.
Yeah, because today we're combining both of our chats, and we both kind of have a different group of subscribers. So enjoy each other in the chat, have great conversation, be kind to each other. My background, same kind of as Will, studied broadcast journalism, electronic media, and I got my break, I guess you could call it. After college, I went to Fort Myers and I worked at the NBC and ABC station, which is really bizarre. They were in the same building, but competitors. Olga, one of our subs here. Hey, Olga. She's down that way. She knows these channels pretty well. So I spent about 3 years there, moved here to Atlanta, and that's where I started doing digital producing and had the chance to do on air, do more morning show interviews, and had that opportunity to break into more on-air television experience. Took a short break and spent it at a law firm, very boring 6 months of my life, and then went on to Fox, the local Fox Atlanta station here, where I worked at the assignment desk, which is, Will knows, it's just like, it's a hustle, and then continued to do digital content, exclusive content like that, and then finished off my career at the Weather Channel and just the digital side of the Weather Channel. A lot of people don't know this. The television station and the website broke apart back in about 2017. and IBM purchased just the digital media part of the Weather Channel. So everyone would always say, do you know Jim Cantori? And I'm like, no, we don't work in the same building anymore.
Is every person who works at a desk doomed to get a neck hump? Not if you do this.
Or no, skip that. So then I was diagnosed with MS and then breast cancer shortly after that. And that became an end to my career. And here I am on YouTube. So
Jennifer,
I found Will on YouTube and we clicked. We hit it off right away. So I've been begging him to collaborate for some time now.
You said that iHeartRadio, television, the media company?
No, IBM, like the computers, purchased like the Weather Channel's website and mobile app. And a lot of people didn't know that. So it was like my paycheck was coming from IBM. Amazing benefits. Amazing. The challenge was getting video. We'd have to like beg people out in the field for video, which is astonishing, having this big name, but we didn't have people out in the field shooting weather video for us. I could buy Storm Chaser video, but it was expensive. That probably they set their own rates on what they want, to sell it at.
Right. Well, I thought you mentioned iHeart, and iHeartMedia. Yeah, but that's what happened to the end of my television and radio career. Was iHeartRadio bought up the radio station and the television station, and then dismantled it all for the pieces that they could sell off.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, I think they were after the data. That all of that is way over my head, but that's what I think happened. But I was not covering the Watts case in depth. I mean, I was covering it from afar because my focus was weather. Obviously, we weren't talking about Chris Watts on the Weather Channel. But Will actually had the experience to go like boots on the ground and follow this case, and has been since it started. So he is just kind of the go-to. He'll deny it up and down, but he is kind of the go-to person, I feel like, for this case. I've been studying it for a while, but not as intensely as Will has. So I thought tonight might be a great opportunity for us to answer a lot of your questions. We've gathered those. Before we start, I wanted to mention down there, we have a ticker scrolling. If you want to donate like a coffee to me or Will has PayPal. I have Cash App. But if you want to donate to the victims, please directly donate to the Lupus Foundation or Missing and Exploited Children. I want to play a clip for you where Sandy herself says that's where she wants the money to go.
They're very sensitive to this story. If they want to honor her by making donations to specific charities, where would you like them to do that?
The Missing Exploited Children, St. Jude.
I like the St. Jude and the Lupus Foundation, of course.
We will make those three prominently known and ask our viewers to, they really want to honor this wonderful mother and these precious, precious children.
Thank you.
As we look here at these beautiful, beautiful images, I want these beautiful images. They're very sensitive to this story.
So actually today, you guys, really sad. Cece would have turned 11 years old. It's really hard to believe that, because when we look at the images, she's just like this ball of energy 3-year-old who could barely, make out a sentence sometimes. But you could see she had so much life to her.
Today just happens to be my son's 10th birthday.
Really?
Yeah.
So this
Yeah.
has to hit you really hard. And when you covered the case, how did you not get in a bad headspace, connecting this to your kids? How did you disconnect?
I've been in this environment, this niche, I guess you could call it, of true crime for so long that I found a way earlier on with some really good mentors who told me how to separate, what I'm working on from family and everything else. You have to do that, otherwise, this entire thing will eat you apart.
Yes.
The stories that come across my desk on a daily basis about another mother who's killed their kids, or another father who's killed their entire family, it will eat you apart if you don't find a way early on to separate it. And but I'll admit, straight up, when my son was about the same age, obviously a year younger than Cece, and to look at him and think to myself that how does someone get to that point where they ever would do something, where they would harm their own children, which is, at this point, I kind of want to give everybody a background into the psychology and criminology of a family annihilator.
Yeah, there's a term for what Chris is.
Yeah. So I'll put the disclaimer out there right now. I am not someone I have no degrees, nothing at all, no experience at all in the field of psychology. My wife is working on her doctorate. So behind me, these books, half of them are on, they're textbooks on psychology. And it sounds weird, but this is me. I read them for not only, for what I do for a living here on YouTube and streaming, but I read them and I study them to understand, because something inside of me, and I know a lot of people around the world, we want to understand, we want to know the clues of what to look for on, why did this person do what they did? Were there clues to tell us, hey, look, he was doing this or she was doing that, and that's what made them do what they did. But when it comes to family annihilators, there are traits, though, that each and every family annihilator, or family familial side perpetrator, I guess you could call it, have. Now, it doesn't matter if it's a female or a male.
Right.
They have these common symptoms together, and then they separate them into 4 separate groups. The symptoms start off, number 1, narcissism. Severe narcissism is number 1. Number 2 is true lack of emotional friendship with those of the same sex. They can have people that they are friends with, that they call friends, but they do not have a true, real emotional connection with that individual. Number 3 on the list, and we're going from most to least here. Number 3 is the loss in grooming or development of personal goals. Either they have an outwardly, expression, like they'll take really good care of themselves physically, build up body mass, muscles, go to the, do physical fitness, constantly, but they leave their emotional, baggage and everything else right there with them, and they make that as part of their strength, and they forget their development as an individual. The next one is they perceive a loss of control in all aspects of life. Doesn't matter if it's financial, physical, emotional, whatever. It's that's the next one that they lose. Next is they perceive a feeling in public humiliation. They feel and they think that the public outside of the family, not the immediate family, not anybody who knows them, maybe it's the media, maybe it's their boss, maybe it's their boss's boss in another
co-workers.
Yeah.
He was
They feel
so concerned about coworkers.
Yeah, they feel an emotional, perceived feeling of public humiliation. Next one is more for men than for women itself. So I'm going to phrase it more, and they do get a little bit graphic. And I'm trying to make this PC. All right, so
As much as we can.
so I'm going to give this because we're here to talk about Christopher Watts and what and the background and what Christopher Watts did is they are unable to get sexually aroused or stay sexually aroused. So again, I'm rephrasing that for a man in Christopher Watts' situation, but obviously it can happen for a woman as well. And you can understand, all the ladies out there, you can understand. It's like something just clicks off in their mind, both men and women, where they're just not able to, maintain, in a certain, level of arousedness. Next is overwhelming shame within the home. They feel that they are the lowest of the lowest within their immediate household. Next is emasculation by either their domestic partner or a parent. Yeah, the parent doesn't even have to live there, doesn't have to be in the home, doesn't have to even talk to them. They could have been years since they talked to them, or a week or a day, but they feel that they're emasculated. Yeah.
So it could be like something that happened when you were a teenager and you carry it with you and you're like traumatized by it and don't even have to have that daily contact. That's pretty crazy.
Right. Yeah. And it can actually happen earlier than a teenager. It can happen as a child. They carry that baggage with them. But these all build up within the actual family annihilator or familicide perpetrator. The next one is what they feel is an impending financial doom or ruins. They're right on the edge and they've been skating by for so long and they cannot keep on anymore. They feel that emotional, damage is coming. And last but not least is family breakdown. They either divorce, something, an illness with the other partner, something is breaking the family apart. That is all the overwhelming symptoms of a family annihilator. Now, a million times since the Christopher Watts murder case, everyone has gone, he's a narcissist. Right. We picked that's the lowest one on the totem pole when it comes to all the other issues that were going on in his life. So
it makes sense,
right?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be the first one to admit there's times where I've looked at this case and I say, is he really a narcissist? Because everyone says how caring he was, and even the coworkers said he was the first person to jump out and say, hey, I'll help out with this. I don't mind, talking to you on the phone on the weekend or help out, watch the kids while all of you are, socializing for your business or whatever. But, we have different levels and terms for narcissist as well, too. So.
Right. And narcissism is one of the main traits of a sociopath. And when you look at the definition of a sociopath, each and every one of the ones that I just read, you can check off for a sociopath as well.
You absolutely can check everything off on that list you read. Even the sexual stuff, we really don't know what happened between him and Nicole Kessinger. If he had issues in the bedroom, I mean, just because he was having an affair, it didn't mean it was working, right? I mean, sure, they said they had sex, but I mean, everything you listed, Will, I feel like you could check off for him. It's crazy.
Right. So quickly, I'm going to tell everyone just what the 4 different groups, according to criminologists and psychotherapists, are. All right. So I'm not going to go into, because I've got it right here. It's 12 and a half pages.
Right.
We've got other things to do with our lives after this. So there are the four groups are the self-righteous. These ones they blame the mother of the family, the wife, Shanann he would have blamed her. The next group is the disappointment. They believe that they are a disappointment to the family and they have let the family down. Next, number 3 is anatomic. These perpetrators believe that the family is the primary reason for their economic failure and unable to thrive and succeed. And number 4 is still paranoid. Now, when it comes to Christopher Watts and other family annihilators like John List and so on, and there's some really good examples, and I'll give you some here in a minute. But they don't just, you can't pigeonhole them in each and every one of those 4. They may share qualities or traits in each and every one of the 4, or just 1 or just 2. But other serial killer, not serial killers, but family annihilators that people are not aware of or maybe remember is Stephen Supple in 2008 killed his entire family. WWE, WWF wrestler Chris Benoit, who has been completely scrubbed from the record books for them. He killed his entire family in 2007. William Parnett in 2009. Michael Haight in 2023. Sherry Fuller in 2012. Marty Bergen in 1900. But how about Jack Owen Spillman and John List? They both murdered their entire families and then had an exit strategy where John List actually followed through, where he ran away and changed his name. But when it comes to family annihilators, that 90% or better, it's actually what we know and studied, in criminology and psychotherapy, psychologists have studied, better than 90%. The family annihilator is the last person, the last victim. They kill everybody as close to them, and then they take their own lives. So in the media, you'll see them instead of being as popular or as well known as Christopher Watts, that you'll hear it as a murder-suicide. So,
right.
All right. I think at this point we've waited long enough to,
get to our questions. I think it's great. Yeah, thank you so much, Will, for kind of giving a background. I think a lot of people jump on YouTube and they want to talk about this case, but I do feel it's important to give it research, to dig deeper. And that's why I love your channel. If you guys do not subscribe already, I have it up on the screen. This is Will's YouTube page. He has tons of subs. I'm just a little channel compared to him. So I'm honored that he was willing to collaborate this evening. And he has a fabulous series where he talks about the financial difficulties this family went through and really breaks down things for you to get a good vision of how badly the finances were in this family.
It was the number one cause of stress that Shanann talked about in her video on YouTube, and it was such a bad issue with finances were with Christopher Watts. Even though he lied his ass off in both of his interviews with the CBI, the Colorado Bureau of Investigation, and the FBI initially, he pointed out that the financial wreck that they were going through was one of their major stress points.
Yeah,
and it was, and is million times over. Everybody has wanted to blame everything on Shanann overspent. Remember, Chris came into the relationship with absolutely nothing but the shirt on his back and $71,000 in debt for tools and for trade school. Shanann owned her own house outright before she ever got together with Chris. She sold that house. It paid for the relocation of them to move to Colorado and got them into their house. And she out earned him over and over and over again every year, even when she was going through back surgery and everything else. Let the lady spend her money. If she wants to spend it on handbags and, and Ross designer clothing, let her. And if she wants to put her kids through the best schooling she can get, there, let her. But victim blaming is not the right way to go.
Right. It's also his responsibility as a husband and as a wife. You have to speak up in those situations. You don't just sit back. If you notice that the two of you are not bringing in the right income for what you're spending, we have a problem here. And to hear him tell the police, oh, I don't have access to the bank accounts.
Liar.
Right.
Liar.
Yeah. And we also can't fully blame it on her either, because we have a lot of issues. Like, Will just read that list off and he checked off every box in there. So I'm going to jump to our first question. All right. So let's bring this up. All right. Why would Shanann keep a hawk's eye on their bank account if he didn't use it? I'll let you take that one, Will.
Oh, because he did. It's an absolute lie that he said in his interrogation, I guess, with the CBI, that she cut him off and he had no access to it because he overspent. Every day he went to work, he went to the convenience store and he spent money on a breakfast burrito and a drink. And every day, if he wasn't there at the convenience store, and this is all well documented by CCTV, if he didn't go there, he went to McDonald's. If he wasn't there doing that, he was spending money on other things, and on top of it all. And so she kept an eye on the bank account, little, but at the same time, they were both just living way beyond what they could bring in. It's like if they had 8,000 coming in a month, which they never did, but if they ever did have something like that come in, they spent 8,500 every single month. I don't know how they expected to move on and go forward, but she wasn't keeping a hawk's eye on the account, and nor did he have a restriction on the bank account, because he kept on spending over and over again. And God, when she was back, home, and he was out on vacation with Nicole Kissinger, he paid for everything for them to go on their little trip. So he went to the bank.
Yeah.
Yep.
And also, you bring up a point about him lying. Like the night he went out with Nicole Kissinger, he's the one who was able to access the debit card and get cash back to pay the babysitter with cash.
Yeah.
So, and like you said, you do see that video of him going to get those breakfast burritos. And I know it might just be $5 every morning, but it starts to add up.
Well, you do that, 5 days a week.
Yeah. And then you start getting lunch and, and all these things.
Yeah.
All right. Another one of our questions. And just so y'all know, I pulled these word for word. I left, even if there's misspelling or punctuations, because I wanted to make sure we have the questions exactly the way they were asked. So this person says, I kind of feel like this is none of our businesses, but how in debt were they? Shanann would not want the world to know all of that private stuff. So please explain why you felt the reason that you needed to make a 3-part video series. It seems really cruel to do. Let the dead be.
Yeah. And I've said it before, and I'll say it a million times over. It was the number one stressor that both of them talked about. Chris not only mentioned it during his interrogation, his lies during his interrogation, but he also mentioned it to coworkers. He mentioned it to his parents. that they were so in debt, and she mentioned it to her friend Nicole Atkins. She made a video about it and posted it on Facebook that they were so in debt. She did make that video shortly thereafter private, but she did make a video about it in the kitchen, standing there while she was making Chris his chicken and something that he was supposed to be eating and taking to work, but he was eating fast food and then working out even more because he knew he was going to become a fat body like he is now.
The craziest thing to me is the night, I swear, and correct me if I'm wrong, Will, but didn't he tell investigators, or during the interrogation, he packed a lunch that morning?
Yeah, he did. He told investigators that Shanann had made him his normal lunch, and then he didn't know that they were missing until Nicole Atkins had reached out to him.
Right, like really, you and then I remember him also saying, while he was driving in the car after he left the oil field, he started to think to himself, did I lock Dieter up? Like, that's what you're thinking? Crazy. I'll also just I'll piggyback off that, Will, and just say, as brutally honest as this is, and a lot of people don't like it, the fact is, when you do something in your life and then you become a part of an investigation, that stuff becomes public. So unfortunately, Shanann's finances did become public. Text messages become public. So I always like to tell people, if you don't want it out there, don't say it. Don't post it. Yeah. Don't do it. Because God forbid you become a part of some type of criminal investigation. Someone you're texting is involved in something. That text message between you and that person become public in court one day. So.
Oh yeah.
Moving on to our next.
Everybody thinks that you send a text message and if you delete it,
yes, right. It's gone. We'll take some of these questions in chat a little bit later. I just want to let you know, we see them and we will get to them. Chris actually thought he'd get away with it. What about the girls and why the oil tanks? And I'll let you start off.
Ooh. So the vast majority of those, again, better than 90% of those who commit familial side, that kill their entire immediate family, do not have an exit plan. Their exit plan, if they really have one, is that they're going to take their own lives. They are the end. Get rid of the family because the family is suffering because of who they are. That's number one. Number two is once you're done with the immediate family and you've done everything there, you're next. Yeah, that is the end. They have no plan. Like, okay, I'm going to put the girls in the oil tank. It's going to buy me, 2 months until they have to drain them and check them for leaks again. He didn't think that far forward. And if he did, he would have known that less than 30 days from the point where he put the girls in the tank that they were going to drain the tanks again. But he didn't think that far. He knew that. He was working at that actual site. He knew. I buried Shanann just outside of the containment wall. I put the girls in the tank. He would have known when the next inspection was. He would have known what the inspection rate was and how frequently, what I'm getting at is that they would have done that. Man, this video is
Yes.
so hard to watch, because every time I see that desert, I think to myself, Shanann, he buried her so far away from the girls. He could have just thrown her in a hole. Okay, dug a hole. And if
Right.
you've never dug a hole in the desert before, it's hard. It's very, very hard to dig a hole in sand. And go to the beach, go up, not where the water's, where the sand is wet, go farther up the beach towards where the actual brush is, whatever, and dig a hole. Now, keep on digging. Now, you remember, you have to put a body in that sand. And as far in every shovelful you dig, it just starts to slide in more and more and more.
Yeah.
But he could have killed the girls and thrown them in the same hole with Shanann, but he didn't.
Yeah. And even the way he said it, like he said to his father, that's the problem. I put him in freaking oil tanks. It's like he even knew how effed up that was, and like when we're watching this video, it doesn't even feel like he drove out. I'm assuming he drove out here and didn't carry her all the way, because he couldn't even carry her down the steps, he said.
Yeah, he pulled up next to where the hole is, and
right there, probably
from that video. But there are tire tracks. I know we were going to wait to answer viewer questions that are coming in right now, but I want to answer 2 tinfoil hats question really quickly. Okay. And 2 tinfoil hat is: do you have a theory on how Chris managed to get Shanann in his truck? Nate's camera had a skip. Now, I'll take that in 2 parts. How did he get her in the truck? He basically dragged her to the last possible point where he could. Then he loaded her in the truck and told the girls that she was sick. And, right, so you have to think of the context. I don't know how he did it. Mentally, physically, it's like when a lot of people, let's just give another example here. Your buddy, your friend, your father, your sister, a loved one or something like that is working on a car and the jack falls on them. You will have superhuman strength to be able to do it. If you think you're going, you have to save them. In that situation, Chris summoned everything he had to pick her up and then put her in the bed, the floor area, behind the driver's seat, before the secondary seats where the girls were at. Now, as for Nate's camera, there is 2 points in Nate's camera that there's 1.7 seconds skips in the actual time. We're not looking at another person here. We're not looking at he had something else that aided him or anything like that on how he got Shanann into the truck. Likewise, it's like the shadow in the driveway thing in Jackass Armchair. It's not there. There's nothing there. 1.7 seconds. It's a skip, but it's not enough of a skip to bring somebody in and get rid of them, and the actual continual footage. So,
right. And I requested that footage myself, from Frederick in the public, their public records request. And I remember playing it over and over, and I'm like, what the hell are people talking about? And I would tell people I want to see it, but honest to God, I don't see it. People
I have the original. I have an exact copy of Nate's footage that was released to the CBI, and I have 2 independent analysis from 2 different companies of the video itself, and I was not looking for anything on what the hell the skip was. I was looking for the driveway shadow figure. Because a lot of people believed back then
that the ponytail figure
and Nicole was in there. But I sent that video to 2 separate companies and paid for it myself, and had them do a complete breakdown analysis of the entire video without them, either one of the companies, knowing that the other one had it, and they both came back the same. That yeah, it's a skip.
Wow.
It's like the way the digital recording is. It's like, okay, it records to a point and it's almost to the end, and then it does that where it flips back to the beginning, and that's the 1.7 seconds that skip and then goes back and it records. It's not, if he had a cloud server and he was saving it all to the cloud, you would have seen a continuous no skip at all. But it's only the device and its maximum amount of storage space. Luckily though, Nate was, good enough of a man that he thought that there was something fishy about it and brought it up to the police. So remember, where would we be without Nate going, man, he was acting, fucking weird, man. You got to look at this. Yeah, and then, then showing the police. So.
Yeah, I mean, he knew right away, and I have to admit, I didn't like that the officer kind of downplayed it, because who knows this guy better, his neighbor Nate or you? I mean, yes, I understand everyone's going to act different in a situation, but most fathers are going to, I don't care if you hate your wife, hate her. If your kids are missing, you are going to be unglued, freaking out. I mean, you've probably lost your kid in a grocery store before or somewhere. You lose your shit. This guy wasn't even in a grocery store, right?
Yeah.
Like, his kids are missing. So I would have more faith in what Nate's telling me than, I don't know, trying to be non-judgmental, which I do want to take this question too. We will, get back to our slides here, but I think it's important because we're talking about the hole. Will, do you think that the hole was pre-dug?
Nope, not at all. Because just how shallow it was, in the end, and I don't think in his entire career professionally working for Anadarko or anything else did he ever think that he would have to dig a hole anywhere. Oddly, he took the shovel home. The shovel wasn't in the truck beforehand. It was a shovel that is used and I've worked in the fertilizer industry. And so the tanks themselves, I know those size of tanks and what they are, what they can hold in them, and what the containment area is like. So I have firsthand experience in that. And the shovel that he used was basically for, in case there's like a spill, they have dry clean, like you'd use for spilling oil in your driveway. You would use it for that, to spread it around on top of the spill, a small spill. But if one of those tanks ever was to burst, it would flood that entire thing and out in immediate, like an hour and a half. It would fill the whole thing, unless it was like a major, like the hatch came off or something like that, and then it'd be a lot quicker. But that's where the shovel came from. He did not have it in the truck beforehand. I can say that with confidence because the day of the actual, he killed his family and got rid of them. He went to the convenience store again, got his breakfast burrito and his Monster Energy drink, and his truck is parked outside of it, and you can see in the background through the window that the shovel is not there. But when he shows up at the house after Nicole Atkins called the police and he shows up, the shovel is there in the background, in the back of his truck. Well, you can see the handle of it. You can't say maybe it was a rake, but he wouldn't have had a rake ever, for his job. But they have shovels.
And he took a really long time getting back to the house, and we know from later finding out he actually disposed of the blankies and his clothes in a dumpster.
Yeah.
I believe it was in the neighborhood where some construction was going on. And unfortunately, those items were never recovered. I mean, I don't know if the family would want that blanket.
Well, I can guarantee the Rouge checks don't want it.
Right.
I mean, but the Twisted Watts family probably does.
Yeah,
So,
and he, because I remember Nicole kept saying that was 45 minutes ago. He said he'd be here 5 minutes ago. Well, that's because he was like panicking, figuring out what the hell do I do with this shit. So we know he probably also rearranged some stuff in his truck and cleaned it a little bit.
A little, but unfortunately, though, when his truck was brought in for inventory, and there's pictures of the entire situation where they actually inventoried the truck. I don't know if they're still online, but they were back then. But in the truck underneath the passenger seat was an empty like fountain drink cup and 2 McDonald's wrappers. I think they're from Egg McMuffins.
Gross.
And so, yeah, but there were a couple other like wrappers or stickers or something. But he definitely did, when he got rid of the stuff from the truck, he did like as fast as he could cleaning, but it wasn't as thorough as it could have been. But
right. And that's why he was taking forever to get to the house. I don't think he even gave an excuse. Just to reiterate, Zelda's asking, what did he put in the dumpster? For a fact, we know the blankie he used, so it was kind of like Cece's, I think it was Yankees like themed blanket that he used to smother her. He put that in the dumpster, and then the clothes he wore that morning, he ditched those as well. And we saw him wearing the Aria shirt, was not the same thing he wore out there.
No. And that is another good point is what the shirt he was wearing was not the same shirt that he was seeing in the CCTV video footage at the convenience store.
Right.
So,
I can't imagine even wearing a long sleeve shirt out in Colorado. I don't know. I've never been, but I picture it to be kind of humid, not something I would wear a long sleeve shirt. I don't know.
It's a dry cool shirt. So it's long sleeve, but it gives you protection from the sun. But it's a very breathable fabric, so it keeps you cool. So it's not like you're from the Midwest, so
right.
You see a long sleeve shirt like that, you think, okay, it's going to keep me warm, protect me from the winds, and the weather. In that aspect, it does protect him from the sun, but it's a very breathable fabric that is made to actually keep you cool. So.
Yeah, and they were like required to wear certain boots, certain clothing on site too, as well. I think one of your subs, Tinfoil, asked, I'm trying to make sure I have this question right, but it was something along the lines of why Ronnie was brought into the interrogation room. Okay, I just found it. I feel like at that point, they had nothing to lose, and they kind of knew, this is just my opinion, and I'll let Will kind of throw his out there after. I feel like they kind of knew Chris was a simp, and they knew he would break down to his dad.
Oh, yeah.
And they were willing to give the chance that he would not be smart enough to say, you need to get a lawyer. His dad really loved those girls, and I think they knew that Ronnie was going to grill their son not as hard, but just as hard as they would to figure out what the hell happened. And it worked exactly. I feel like they thought it would work. He would break down like mush, and he did. Will, what's your take on that?
All right. So first, we have to start off with the fact that Chris did not know that they flew Ronnie into town. So Chris was absolutely shocked. All of a sudden, Dad walks in and sits down, next to him. So it immediately got him wherever he is in his story. Okay, let's just put his story right here at the top of my microphone. This is where he's telling the lie. He's rehearsed it. He's got his story, straight. He's telling it. All of a sudden, there's a shock to the system. His dad walks in. Now, he's known his dad his entire life, and his dad is like, "Look, Chris, just tell me, what's going on here." And bringing them back to, maybe a simpler time, a time when all this shit that has been happening in Colorado was not happening to him at all. So it takes him completely out of it, because here is somebody who has always been there emotionally and physically, supporting me. If it was Mom, if it was Cindy, it'd be a completely different story altogether, because she's a narcissist just like Chris. But Dad's a level-headed, hardworking, boots on the ground individual like Chris has always wanted to live up to and, to be like. He comes in immediately. Chris has got no story left at all. All he can tell Dad is the truth. Because and it worked again, just like the CBI, wanted it to. And Chris he melted down. And he told him everything. Now, I want to let everyone else know that the entire interview that you may have seen of the point where, Ronnie comes into the room is actually about 11 minutes longer than what was originally released out there to the media. And that's just Chris, basically bawling like a freaking little baby and snot bubbles and everything else. I mean, because it hit him. Chris couldn't hide anymore. He couldn't lie anymore. Well, he shouldn't have lied anymore, but he did. But
yeah.
So
and I think
that's why they brought Ronnie in the room, and they do it all the time. Don't kill your family, because tomorrow afternoon they're going to find whoever is the one person that you can't lie to. You can't, pull, the wool over their eyes. They're going to find that person.
Tinfoil asks, didn't Chris pick him up from the airport? I do believe he did, but you also have to remember the type of person Ronnie and Chris are. They probably barely spoke in the car. And if they did, it was probably about a football game. I don't think there was any in-depth conversation that happened in the car. There's theories that when Chris was in North Carolina, he told his parents about Kessinger and about, I'm having this an affair and I'm going to leave Shanann. Bill really never knew, the truth to that. We also have that really weird letter that Chris wrote that Jamie told him to write, if anything happens to me, look at my wife. You remember that note?
Yeah. Just a second. I'm looking back through my notes.
Absolutely.
On who picked up, Ronnie from the airport.
I do believe it was Chris, because this was kind of where I think they had Chris pinned all along. But obviously, to make that arrest, you need some solid evidence. And I think it took about a day until they really could start pinning him down. And I want to say the next day, that's when he called. And Cindy said, I want to come. And he said, no, I just want Dad there.
You're absolutely right about that part. I got that. I'm looking at the notes from Frank Delfor, Delforth, a former FBI agent.
I also want to throw this out there too, just so people understand. In the media, we request reports. We request video. And we are wholeheartedly hoping that everything that was available to them, we are also getting. But honest to God, that's not always the truth.
I'm gonna be off camera for a minute.
Yeah. It doesn't always happen that way, you guys. It's supposed to happen. It's called public record. But for example, a great example of that is, why do we not have the whereabouts of Nicole Kessinger? That's because they've decided they don't want to give us that information, and they don't have to, technically. They give you what they want. I have reached out to early on when I started doing YouTube. I reached out to the DA's office, didn't get a response. Reached out to CBI, didn't get a response. And then I took it a little higher and reached out to the state of Colorado. And they pretty much told me, because DA Rourke is an elected official, he's allowed to do what he wants. So they told me they don't get involved with, they let county by county handle things the way they want to. And pretty much they told me, in a kind way, a professional way, that you're shit out of luck. If DA Rourke doesn't want to release the info to you, he doesn't have to. So that's where I got with that when I was trying to find out, why did Nicole Kessinger ping at the house at 6:15? And that is just something that they can leave out if they want to.
Yeah, if it doesn't lead anywhere, they'll leave it out. They won't follow it, and they won't put it in there. All right, so I found what we're looking for. Yes, Chris did pick him up from the airport. But he did not know that they were going to bring him into the interrogation room. This is in the official report from a former FBI agent, Delforth. I think, I don't know how to pronounce people's names. I'm terrible at it. I'm lucky I pronounce my own last name.
I was never good at that. That's why I didn't want to do anchoring, because I was not good with last names.
So Chris did not know that they had went and picked him back up and he was going to be part of the conversation. He thought Chris voluntarily came in, okay,
right,
to speak with them. So on that actual day, so yes, he knew his dad was there, but he did not think that his dad would be part of it. Again. And go back to, I'm trying to flip back to, this is page 15 in the actual report, where he's talking about he goes, next chapter, ... and then he talks about him bringing him to the house because he needed help with the search for the family. And then Delforth does not talk of, it's kind of weird. If you ever read an FBI report before, it's
a lot of police.
Oh my God. It's not that they leave things out. It's they don't speak in legalese. And a lot of times they'll talk about, like, I'm talking to this person, and they will refer to a number instead of a person's name. It's like number two, so you have to go back to the beginning. Who the hell's number two? So yeah, and then that shortly thereafter is when Chris actually asked for legal counsel, but did not invoke rights to an attorney. All right.
I think he thought he was.
I'm sorry, Jennifer. I missed that.
Go ahead, Will. What were you saying?
Oh, I didn't hear what you said.
I'm just going to switch our video up a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh no, I said go ahead. What were you about to say?
Oh, it's that we have more questions. And
We'll just asking, did they protect the family rights?
This is the video inside of Nate's house.
Let
That
me
was
jump.
funny.
Yeah. Okay. So let me jump back to some of our questions so that we, and then we'll jump back in chat too. Don't worry, guys. We'll get your questions. I remember seeing the room with hundreds of shinny and shoes in there. How much did she spend on that? Why haven't you covered that? Cat got your tongue, Will. Well, Will has covered that. So
I have extensively. And part of the closure of the actual estate after Chris was
let's look at those shoes too.
What? Oh.
Look at those shoes. We're not denying it. She had a lot of shoes.
Well, she had a lot of shoes and she had a lot of handbags. Now, at the close of the actual estate, though, after Chris was sent away to from Colorado to Dodge Correction Center in Wisconsin, and they did a what's called a forensics accounting of the assets in the house, of the handbags and all her shoes and her clothes. It was determined that she had right around $14,000 worth of actual physical property that would have been hers. Now, it does not, for some odd reason, list what the value of Bella or Cece's clothing or personal items, stuffed animals, and stuff like that are in the report at all. But in the basement, with Chris's weights, his stuff that he had for himself, and he actually had. I kind of remember this, but I'm not entirely sure if my memory is accurate. I don't have the notes in front of me. I'd have to go back out there to my file cabinet again. But I believe Chris had a cot or something he was sleeping on in the basement.
Yes, and they had like a Mickey Mouse blanket over the window instead of some blinds there.
But they did an accounting of his work clothing, his boots, everything he personally owned and purchased, and his was about $9,000. So at the maximum, she had about $5,000 worth of more value personal items than he did. And a lot of what she purchased, the shoes, the coats, the clothing, the handbags and stuff like that, she shopped at Ross a lot, an awful lot, especially for the girls. It wasn't this year's style or last year's style. It was reduced, and she had purchased a lot of it, and she was a really thrifty shopper. Now, even Nicole Atkins, her best friend, agrees with the fact that the two of them were extreme bargain hunters, and they found ways to make an extra dollar go. If she had to get something for the girls, be it personal underwears or whatever, she found a way to shop for herself and for them at a discounted price. Maybe it was at Kohl's, where she could use Kohl dollars and stuff like that for shopping there. She got used Kohl bucks to get things at a reduced price. And at the same, but a lot of people want to think like, hey man, look at those shoes. She had a lot of money in shoes. She had stuff that, and I don't fault her at all. I don't, and nor should anybody else, and nor look at it as a reason to victim blame because she had nice stuff. Chris wasted so much effing money on stuff that it wasn't even. They didn't need. Nobody could use. Chris never used at all. Look, like if she had $9,000 worth of or $14,000 worth of clothes and shoes and handbags, Chris wasted $11,350 on a quad runner and a trailer that he sold for less than he actually had a loan for.
Right.
And not even a month and a half. He never wrote it himself. And was he planning all along to buy it, sell it, and then they were going to do bankruptcy again? Maybe. Maybe they were. And they needed that cash to, to get them float them, I guess you could call it, in between then and there. Maybe. But it doesn't matter. He still sold it for less than the damn value, that it was at a month or so before. And again, I don't want to bring it up yet, but he used his company truck to go pick it up.
Yeah. This clip that's playing right now will forever always just be seared in my mind. I'm sure majority of you have seen this, but as he's over at Nate's house, that's
surveillance.
There's a fetus there, and then there's a skull dripping in oil. What are the odds of that popping up? I'm sure most people have seen this clip that we're talking about. But yes, Will, if you go to his page, he has done extensive videos on the debts and the spending. And let's just be honest here. We had two grown adults overspending. They were overspending.
Yep.
I'm not going to give her a free pass. I think she had good intentions, thinking, okay, one day I'll pay this off. I mean, we all do. Sometimes we go on vacation and we say to ourselves, oh, well, I'll pay this off in 2 months or da-da-da-da. I think the intentions were there, but it just didn't happen.
She had I'll add to that. She had good intentions, and what she spent money on, it wasn't just Thrive products. And so many people want to point out that she had so many boxes and bins of things in the basement of products that she was buying and she was wasting her money on. You've never been in a pyramid scheme if you want to point that kind of stupidity out. It's like the stock market. You buy low, you sell high.
Right.
And that's what she was doing. She was buying it, then she was marking it back up when either the product was discontinued and she could move it on to another customer. So, I mean, yeah, she was in a pyramid scheme, and everybody knows it. Thrive knows it. Everybody knows it. If you've ever been anywhere near Amway or any of these other companies, it's a pyramid scheme. But it brought in money, and she really was bringing the money, because I have copies of their tax returns. She was out earning him year after year from the time that they got married to the time that he killed her. She was out earning him. And yeah, maybe she was wasting money on buying products to earn more later on. He was wasting money to, get himself a mistress, a whore.
Right. Yeah, and someone even commented, it's not like Shanann was going to the Prada store and buying a brand new Prada bag. I think Shanann is a shopper like I am. I thrift. I try to buy only at certain times when there's sales, things like that. Okay, so one of the questions is, so you say the gay relationship Chris had wasn't real. Well, why would Trent Bolt say that then? Well, guys.
Oh,
come on.
You want to take this, or I'll take it?
I mean, attention is the best thing I can come up with. I mean, people do crazy shit for attention. Andy Warhol. One thing I do want to note, a lot of people will think I interviewed Dylan Tallman, and a lot of people were like, he's just a grifter. He just wrote that book to make money. Sure, he did. He did.
Yeah.
But his experience is still real. And what Dylan told me is and I think you can attest to this too, Will, because you do these videos about being in prison.
Yeah.
Chris has so much money on his books that he buys shit for people. He has so much money to spend that Dylan needed like new toothpaste, new toothbrush. I don't think they had lotion available, so Vaseline was what they could use to put on their skin. He bought him new underwear. Now, everything that he bought had to have the name Watts on it. So he gives this shit to Dylan, and that's where the Daily Mail picked up and ran with this story about him having a gay relationship with Dylan Tallman, which I don't believe is true. That's just my personal opinion. And I do not believe this stuff with Trent Bolt is true either.
No. All right. So the story with Trent Bolt is that he supposedly met Christopher Watts before the murder on a like Tinder
or something
for just for men who are looking to have a relationship. And I don't want to mention the name. I already mentioned Tinder. So, but it kind of like that. It was like a one-time hookup kind of, or hook up and then make see where it went from there. Why did Trent make up the story that he was in a relationship or he had seen Chris? It's called the Andy Warhol syndrome, or that's the name that people place on it. He was looking for his 60 seconds of fame, and he was chasing that until the law enforcement showed up and they questioned him, and he immediately took it all back.
Right. And we also had the girl Amanda, I think her name was Amanda McMahon, who also said that she met with Chris at a Chick-fil-A. Investigators brought her in, and you can tell that once she got there, you can tell she's feeling a little uncomfortable. And then, of course, she could later say something like, oh, well, he looked like Chris. So I think, like you said, these people are looking for 10 minutes of fame. And in this day and age, I mean, not back in 2018, but this day and age, you go out there with a story like that and people will be like subscribing to your TikTok and all that crap.
Oh, yeah. Well, and like, to all the ladies out there, where there's smoke, there's fire, and if you think that, and Nicole Atkins, Shanahan's best friend, she knew something was fucking going on. Sorry for my swearing, but she knew something was going on, and she didn't believe his story then. She didn't believe it later on. She don't believe it now. Nobody does. But she was the first one that said when Shanahan texted her and said, "I don't think he loves me anymore." Nicole knew. Atkins, not Kessinger. Nicole Atkins knew. Where there's smoke, there's fire.
Yeah.
So a lot of it fit. If he's not in love with my best friend, he's not here to protect her anymore and do everything that he said he was going to do for from death to us part. There's something there, and she told authorities about that, and that's in her statement. Is that I don't think that he's being honest with you about if he has another relationship out there. And that sent authorities looking for these people. And then, of course, Trent Bowles popped up and these other, I think there was actually 3 ladies total who said that they met him on it or saw him on it. But, all right.
Yeah. So this is a question I actually had for Will, because we were talking about family annihilators. And I know this is really morbid, you guys. And I want to preface by saying, Dieter's fine. He lives with Shanann's family still. And Frankie has his own YouTube page and he posts about Dieter. He just had a birthday recently. Okay. So I asked Will, why didn't Chris kill Dieter? Because technically he's part of the family, right? He's part of that family unit. So I was shocked that Chris didn't do something to Dieter as well.
He didn't see him as part of the family. He's a disposable unit that you can get rid of him today or get rid of him tomorrow and nobody would care. And he didn't care during the entire thing. Dieter was nothing. And I mean, there's better PC ways to put it.
Right.
But I know an awful lot of people like that, where cats, dogs, birds, gerbils, whatever it might be. They're not. They have no human. They don't put any human emotions to them. They are nothing. They're not a family member. They're not. They're just disposable. If I don't like the way that this animal, this cat, this dog is behaving tomorrow, I'll just get rid of it. And that's why Chris didn't care about Dieter and didn't do anything to Dieter. Thank God,
Right.
For Dieter. And I have to preface that with, I have had a lot of dogs and a lot of cats. And I've got a lot of cats now. I seem to collect them like Lucky Charms now. But they're all part of my family, and they mean just as much to me as my family. I mean, but there are people out there that we all have to admit. Everybody that's lived on this earth at all. I mean, you've met these people. It's like, I got a dog, or my mom and I, growing up, you meet a new friend, you have a dog. It's like, when does your dog eat? You don't.
Right.
I mean, your dog looks like it hasn't eaten in fucking 12 years. I mean, feed the dog. Why are you all eating? But again,
one thing I always think of too, and I don't know if anyone else always thinks of this when you think of this case, Chris told investigators he was with Nicole Kessinger and stayed the night at her house almost every night.
Yeah. And
I'm like, so what did you do? Came home, because it sounds like they created Dieter, because they keep saying like, did I create him or something? So would you come home from work, let him out to go pee, and then lock him right back up in the crate? Like, that is so, I mean, what he did to his family is very cruel. Don't get me wrong. But to think about the animal locked up, and Nicole knowing the animal's locked up and she was okay with it, is weird to me. Instead of being like, just bring your dog over, right? Like, if she's a dog person, why not bring the dog over? And then they never mention anything about him bringing the dog over or them going to the dog park together or anything like that. I always found that really bizarre, personally, that she would just be like, oh yeah, his dog's locked up all day, and then he comes over to my house every night.
Well, yeah, because I guess we're actually lucky in the fact that he remembered to even feed Dieter when Shanann and the girls were back back home.
Which, you know what, Will, he probably did skip going home some nights and let Dieter go to the bathroom in the crate, which is disgusting and horrible to crate. At least let him run around freely, which I'm sure he didn't, because the rules were to crate the dog. And Chris is very like, got to follow the rules, except for when you annihilate your family.
Yeah. So the actual question was from Deadline Crime. Why not take the dog, Dieter, in a car and kill it too?
Right.
But, yeah. I liked how you had it. But
Well, because
Yeah,
I figured, you know what, if he was going to do it, I would think he would take Dieter to make it look like Shanann and the girls took Dieter and they ran away.
exactly.
That was my thinking.
No, I totally understood what your when you phrased the question and you posted it. It's like yeah, I understand exactly. It's
Yeah,
like,
or to like keep the
why would
girls
Shanann take
calm
off?
in the car, be like, "Hey, Dieter's going to go for a ride with us," and then like throw him in the oil tank.
Well, we now so we know the original story, from CBS, affiliate from Colorado, with Chris on the porch. Yeah, she didn't take the car, so it couldn't make. They had to run away. They disappeared, and they didn't have a car. Somebody took them and left Dieter behind. So therefore, I guess maybe that fits, with the story for Chris at that point. But if anybody's ever watched that video of him on the porch, it is scary as hell if you know anything about body language at all. If you know, just spend 5 minutes, just Google body, actions, of someone. All right, I'll give you something to put into Google. Put into
Denver
Google.
4 covered this like really.
Hey, Georgia, Living Spaces is now open in Buford. Come
Sorry,
see
guys,
it
let
for
me mute it.
yourself. Living Spaces.
Sorry, I can't mute it.
I would absolutely recommend
Sorry, guys.
Montlick Injury Attorneys. There's so many.
Chris Watts,
Um,
WATTS.
I actually kind of want to.
What's going on right now around your house?
Right now,
I can't mute it. I kind of want to watch it without hearing him talk and just watch the body language.
Right.
But I don't know why I don't have. Oh, there's the mute. Okay. Okay, continue what you were saying about this.
So it kind of fell into his lap that the fact that Dieter was still there and alive, so he could say, look, they just vanished, and the car's still here, the dog's still here, they're gone, somebody took them, right? Because that was his hope, was the girls would come rushing back in through the house, and
they're all rushing. Yeah.
Nobody knew. Come on. I shouldn't say no one. I'm sure there's probably like 4 or 5% of the world out there who was following this story when it happened, that knew that it just didn't match up, or they just looked at him like, oh man, look at the way he's posturing, and he's looking, his eyes are darting left and right, or looking back at every exit. If you watch his eyes, he is not watching and looking at the actual woman who is interviewing him here. Right. He is watching the exits. He is watching the door into the house, and then how to get off of the porch.
We have a lot of that, analysis experts who have, gone over this extensively and say when they lick their lips like that, it is a sign of deception. I am not saying I'm an expert or anything, but you have a lot of that.
Yep.
And here's an interesting thing too.
He does it at Nate's house too.
Sandy told him not to do this.
Yeah.
She goes, do not go on television. You are the last person to see them. And then also, not only that, because this is a smaller town, how stations are more competitive. Yeah. Chris did more than one interview instead of, if he was smart, which he would not know. I think you and I would know this better. You would have a press conference and have one interview and all cameras there, and you only do it once. He's so stupid. He did this interview more than once with several stations, just showing how, disconnected he is.
Well, he did the interview with all all four of the major news outlets, and then he did with 2 radio, like internet channels. So 6 total.
Like,
But the ABC one, this one here is by far the best. The CBS one, he's still wearing the same shirt, and he's on the porch. They're the only two with him
rocking back and forth, like hugging himself and coddling himself, because I just do feel like he really thought he could pull one over on us by doing this.
He thought for sure that he'd get the message out there that he wasn't responsible. And
I like this question. Journalists, are you attuned to body language? I'll tell you right now, if I was interviewing Chris, as soon as I finished, the first thing I would do, if Will was my coworker, probably text him and go, this dude is guilty.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely, we are attuned. Like, we are reading your body language and absorbing it, because it also can set the tune or the tone of the questions also we're going to ask you next. Maybe we need to back off. Maybe we don't. Absolutely.
As reporters, the first thing with the arms crossed like that is defensive. We know that he's taking a defensive posture. We want them to relax. We want them to give their story, and that's the first thing. I'm 100%, probably, even more than that. Sure, that every affiliate that ever did the interview with him, that's the first thing they said was, just relax. Tell us, exactly what happened, what's going on, who's missing, and immediately he puts his arms up like that across. That is a defensive posture immediately. And you learn this stuff in journalism school, like, really early on. You're like, oh, shit, this person is being defensive. Maybe I'm asking the wrong questions. Maybe I need to rephrase these things. You practice these things with each other in school. And you see that, and you're like, oop, 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 I've gone too far. I've crossed the line. And he does this with every one of the interviews, and he does it at the police department too.
What's funny is, looking at this setup, I probably would have had him sit in that corner chair there. But
or sit on the stairs.
You wouldn't have got this body swaying, which I think was so important.
Oh,
it would have helped, him relax more.
It spoke loudly to the authorities. They watch this, and they're not dummies. Right. Even a small, community. I don't care if you're in the middle of Iowa and you have a population of like 100. They know. Law enforcement knows. Like, look, if I'm interacting with someone, and at the side of the road, or I want to question them or talk to them, not even question them. Just ask them questions. If they throw their arms up like that, and immediately, like the snap of a finger, it's like, oh, okay, there's more here than what's going on. And people don't realize that. And then you watch their body, the rest of their body, their face, their eyes, on top of that, at the same time. They're darting. They're not looking directly at you. They're looking at you, but they're looking down, or they're looking at your forehead. They're looking over to the left and exit. They're looking to the right and exit. If tomorrow afternoon, if you can't take anything from this, you have a question you want to ask your spouse. If they put on any of these at all, you're either asking the question the wrong way. 1, immediately. 2, they're hiding something. It's human nature to want to cross your arms to protect yourself.
Yeah, it's
the second thing is to look for exits. How do I get away from the situation? How can I, change the conversation? So
he also looks so exhausted too. One thing I notice is how And also, like, my husband is a photojournalist, you guys. They call them photographers, but they shoot video. But how tight this shot is on Chris, it's actually cutting off his forehead, which you wouldn't want that because it doesn't really look very good. But I think this photographer sensed something was really off and wanted to zoom in on those, those eyes and these facial expressions, because they are, even without listening to the audio, they're so telling of this guy is off. I mean, he's either lying or just disconnected. I wouldn't think this guy's doing an interview about his missing family. I would think he's like, man, there's construction in my subdivision and I can't get out of my subdivision.
Or there's a UFO.
Yes.
It's not like, let me tell you about, I came home and my friend's my wife's best friend called me and told me that my entire family's missing. She didn't show up for her ultrasound today. That's not where you would think that if you took this entire video and again, you muted it and then you played it, you would think it was completely something different. But yeah, the location, all of it. All right. So
look at how fast he takes this microphone off. Like, usually a person will stand there and wait for the photographer or the reporter to take the mic off for you because, but he is so eager. So eager to get out of this situation. Just watch it. Whoop, taking it off. Ready to get out of the situation.
I've had more people walk away with it on still.
Yes. Like, oh, I forgot.
Like, oh yeah, like, oh, am I attached or something? Like, stop before you freaking break my lapel, Mike. Jesus Christ. But
someone asked if we would ask like for descriptions or a photo. The media usually has all of that beforehand prepared. But in this interview, if you watch it, you do notice this journalist is probably picking up on his awkwardness and asks Chris, did you guys get in a fight? And he says, we had a difficult conversation and I'll leave it at that. So I think it was very bold of that reporter to kind of poke and prod at him when the guy's got a missing wife and kid. And I think it was just his natural suspicion. Something's wrong. Something isn't right here.
But at the same time, though, we have to look at where journalism has moved since this. I think that it's been a learning experience in that aspect. So maybe the next person who has to do another interview like this is not going to necessarily ask the same questions because they've learned and they've studied from the past mistakes. So I look at it that way.
Yeah, and I think it's important. A lot of people will criticize, Will and I, why are you still covering this case 8 years later? Oh, because it still matters. If this case, talking about it, gets some person in a bad relationship to think, hey, something's off, I need to talk about it with a therapist, or I need to leave this relationship, then it was worth it to talk about it.
Walk away.
Yes. And not that Shanann had many signals, but I think she was suspicious. Obviously, we saw the text messages. She was talking to her friends saying, I think there might be someone else. And they were like, no, there wasn't. I always think, and I know this wouldn't happen because you explained that Chris is a narcissist, but imagine if he reached out to someone, a mental health professional, and said, I'm having thoughts of killing my family. you know, like women do postpartum, might say something along those lines. I'm having trouble, you know, adjusting to this, or, you know, whatever it may be. Imagine if he was able to speak up and get some help. Just walk away from the situation and let them go.
There is no way to stop it. Statistically,
No, that makes sense.
New Kingsbury University, along with the University of Queensland, Australia, has done the longest and the most in-depth studies of family annihilators, familial-side perpetrators. And the overwhelming answer is just like Spillman and John List. Just to use, I'm going to give you two examples out of, like, you know, I could go on with like at least 20. But if they feel that they are truly being persecuted, or they have lost all control, instead of committing suicide, just killing yourself and being done with it. Now, I'll give you two examples of women at the same time. Andrea Yates is a great example, and I'll just leave it at that. And because when it comes to women, a lot of women who are going to probably hear this, they're going to say that there was a lot more emotional damage. So, like, men tend to take that emotional damage and they hold it more in themselves. That's why we see more of it from the men. We baggage everything up, and then we just let it fester, I guess, inside.
Yeah,
but
that makes a lot of sense.
There are a lot of women who do the same thing, you know, or they commit the act and then they stay with the man, and then they wait for them all to take the fall together. But they have plans to kill the man and then themselves too. But when it comes to the familial perpetrators and family annihilators, it's men, and they don't talk to anybody about it. They don't have an outside source, and the women know it. And there's been some kind of abuse, not just emotional. They raised their hand in anger at them at some point. We don't know when it happened in Christopher Watts and Shannon's history. She'd never talked to Nicole Atkins about it. But I guarantee you, at some point, he raised his hand in anger and hit her. Not like, I'm going to hit you, you know, or no, not like that. He actually did it. He actually hit her at some point, because before the actual killing of Shanann and the girls, he admitted later on that he tried to suffocate and kill both of the girls. He admitted it. So call it a dry run, call it whatever you want, but he worked himself up to this, and there's no way he did it without violence, physical violence against Shanann. For all of the women out there, I'm telling you right now, if you've ever been in a relationship, or if you're ever in a relationship right the fuck now, and he raises his hand in anger and hits you, get away. Because if it happened once, it's going to happen again. And where is it going to go the next time? And, you know, maybe you're in your honeymoon stage in the early relationship, and he promised he would never do that again. You know, and then in the last 10 years, he's never done it. If it happened and he hasn't had any intervention or whatever to stop it again from happening, it's going to happen again. And the next time, it could be worse, And I almost guarantee you it's going to be worse because it's going to be more emotionally connected the next time. Just something. And maybe it's a child at 15 years down or 10 years into the relationship. Maybe it happened when you didn't have any kids. And now, 10 years later, it's because one of your kids he saw as a failure, or they failed at something, or they did something wrong. And he's got that new emotional connection that brings you down even farther. Again, it happened to Shanann, but we don't know when. It could have been before they moved to Colorado. It could have been the day they got to Colorado. It could have been on the road between back home and Colorado. But it happened at some point, and Shanann brushed it off and never told anybody about it.
Yeah, it could have been like a night of them drinking when they first started dating or something. You know what I mean? And she maybe
they got a million fucking excuses for it.
I so agree. Yeah. So that's, like I said, that's one of the reasons we do still talk about this case. People still talk about it. And if we can advocate and help answer questions, then, then it's worth it. If you are just joining the live stream, here are some fundraisers. Just wanted to share with you and recap this. If you're just joining us, two of the foundations that are really important to the family are the lupusresearch.org, St. Jude, the Children's Hospital, the National Missing Children's Organizations. And then I threw some other ones in here, you guys, because Shanann was an advocate for fibromyalgia. I threw that in there. And then I threw in breast cancer, because I'm a breast cancer survivor, and National MS Society. So if this, live stream today touched you in any way, please even consider donate $2. $2. I know it doesn't seem like much, but it adds up and it helps.
99 cents. Just give them 99 cents.
Yeah. $1,
I know
whatever.
For the Center for Missing and Exploited Children, 99 cents is the bare minimum. I work with them every single week of the year, profiling missing and endangered individuals from my channel, and 99 cents is the bare minimum. Of that 99 cents, in case you're wondering just how much of that goes to the actual work itself, 96 cents of 99 cents goes to actual working. They don't have a CEO or a CFO like Goodwill or some of these other, they call themselves nonprofits that are making six figures a year. The CFO and the CEO are the same individual, and it's a volunteer basis, non-paid. And the same thing with the Lupus Foundation. 100% of everything. I have over 113 videos starting on the Christopher Watts case, and I have donated 100% plus of any ad revenue and anything that I've ever made covering the Christopher Watts case to the Lupus Foundation, because Shanann had lupus, and that was the one thing she supported, because she was looking for a cure, not only for herself but for other people. She didn't want other people to suffer like her. So,
a lot of people will also say Shanann didn't have lupus, and I say, you know what? I don't care if she did or didn't. She was still an advocate for it. It was still important to her. And so that's why I mention it. I don't have to have this or that to be an advocate for it. So that's, why I mentioned that. Oh gosh, this person's asking, would you like to interview Chris? What would you ask? I've already talked to Will about this. I would absolutely, I think any journalist would take the chance to interview him. There's this, except Will. Will's the only person I've talked to who said he wouldn't.
Nope. Is a narcissist and a pathological liar. Well, what value does it have? Yeah, it would give you airtime, but can you believe anything he has to say?
I think there's that part, and maybe it's because I'm a woman. There's always this part as a journalist, you think that you can really reach someone and, make an impact. And it makes you wonder if you really laid into that person, could you get them to be forthcoming and tell the truth? And I think, I feel like I already know the answer to this question, but I would ask him and make him verbalize, did you act and do this alone, or did someone help you? Because I feel that would crush a lot of the conspiracy theories going on. I have a lot more questions I would ask him. I've, debated trying to reach out for an interview, but I don't think he would talk. I think Sherilyn Cadle kind of ruined that for everybody to ever possibly get a chance at maybe getting a truthful interview out of him. Maybe in 20 years.
I don't think so either. Even in 20 years, I don't know where we are on the questions that were sent in versus people who posted questions. But I have a list of questions though that people want me to ask of you.
Of me, okay.
Because they want to hear your perspective instead of me jibber jabbering.
Okay. We haven't even really we're only at like question 6, Will. So we might have to do like another stream. And I also wanted to say, someone asked if I can hear you. Yes, I can hear Will. This is our first collaboration together. And sometimes it takes a time or two before you work with someone and you can anticipate when they talk.
Yeah.
And I'm bad. I talk over people.
So here's a question that my community wanted me to ask to you. I have got a lot more, so it's not the only one. So first question is, did he plan the murders in advance with Nicole, or did Nicole pressure him in some way to do it? Just you. With that, I'm going to go put these files back in the file cabinet before I forget them.
Yeah, you guys should see Will.
I do not want to forget these.
He has a crazy stack. You got, when I say Will has done his research, you would like crap your pants if you saw his file cabinet. He showed it to me the other day. Okay, so here's my thoughts on how this went down. I think on Sunday night, they had a phone call. I think they did their camping trip. I think they did all that, and they were getting really serious. I think they were saying, I love yous. Like, let's just take a look at some of these cards, these letters, or I love you, and you're the best thing that ever happened to me, and all this stuff. I think that, what were they seeing each other from June, July? Okay, we're going to come up on August. I think on Sunday night, she was getting fed up, and she knew Shanann was coming home, and she knew that shit was going to get real again. The honeymoon phase was over. And she thought to herself, and it sounds like Nicole has been in an abusive relationship before. Remember, she was having her mail forwarded and over to her dad's house. So Nicole is used to being in these shitty relationships. And she's thinking, okay, this guy seems legit. He seems like a good guy. I think she got to the point on that Sunday where she said, Chris, your wife's coming home. And if you're serious about me, you need to end this. You need to end it, and you're going to be with me. I don't think she knew the extent of where she was going to take it. He was going to take it. I personally do not believe that she was involved and she plotted all of it. I think she just laid the pressure on him really thick. And then he did what he did. I don't think she's the best person. She reminds me of kind of like an aggressive, masculine type woman who doesn't have much empathy for people. But I don't think she's a murderer. That's just my thought on that.
Very, very good. I concur with everything you said. I do. I don't think that she was involved physically, and I don't know what kind of conversations they had prior to Shanann coming home. But yeah, I think she knew that she needed to control him, like Shanann had, to a point, and manipulative. I'm sure she manipulated the situation to her, her benefit. But was she there that night? No. Was she out front beforehand? No. Was her truck there? No. To all those things, no. Again, but she had some kind of an emotional leverage on him that that he needed to find a closure to it, because she talked about trying to find him an apartment, and set up child custody and everything else, which again pushes it into the fourth category of family annihilators, depending ending of the family. And that's not my wording. That, again, y'all can't see this, but everything that I've been talking about tonight comes from Abnormal Psychology. Again, behind me here, in case you're new here, my wife is working on her doctorate's degree in psychology. So, and I'm kind of a weird, SOB. I read psychology, in horror books, for fun.
How dare you do research, Will? Like, how dare you actually research a case and try to tell people facts? It's crazy.
I know. It's weird, especially in this time and age. People don't want it.
How dare you?
It feels like they're adverse to, facts a lot of times. It's like I give them the facts. I'm like, okay, and here's the page number, and here is the two people who wrote about it, and they have a combined 70 years experience in this field, and they're like, no, yeah, you're full of shit. But that's all right though. I've gotten used to that. But I really don't think Nicole was there. Now, you had mentioned earlier about her phone pinging.
Yes.
In certain locations. I don't think people understand. Just to add a little sidetrack to that, is I don't think people understand how their cell phones work. You have a cell phone in your pocket right now. All right. I'm going to assume it's some kind of a smartphone, and it's not a flip phone, an old Motorola, or something like that, where you can physically actually take the battery out of it. Let's just assume you can take the battery out of it. Okay. We're going to say it's an old, maybe it's a Cricket, or maybe you have a Cricket phone, like my mother has a Cricket phone. Got giant ass numbers, and it's got a tiny ass little screen, and you can barely send a text message on it. Well, let's assume that's what you have. You pull the battery out of it right now. Take the battery and throw it out of your car window while you're driving down the freeway at 90 miles an hour. Because, well, we know if you have that phone, you ain't doing anything over 40. But anyways, You throw the battery out of your phone. The cell towers are still pinging on for the next about a minute and like 8 seconds until the actual the rest of the electricity stored in the actual phone is gone. Now you can't turn it on, yeah, because your battery's gone. You just threw it out the window, but the electronics inside of it still have energy, and they have capacitors in there that store the energy for a certain amount of time, even after the phone is dead. So now you might live in an area and you might have a tower on the left side of town. You might have a tower on the right side of town. You may have a tower a mile behind you, so you're in some kind of triangle area. That's how cell towers work. Is they send the signal from one to the other to the other to the three, but in between those towers, they have what's called pinging stations. And so you have the three, and they're sending the signal not only from left to right, but they're sending it to left to right and then down, and then left is sending it down. And that's how they find you. The GPS satellite says, okay, where the hell are you? You're in between this tower, and this tower. And it just happens to be Nicole Kissinger and Chris's phones were within that certain location, that triangle. And you can say that it's not a complete triangle, left side larger than the right side, whatever. But that's how, in any town, it starts off with the triangle, and then they might put more towers in between it or pinging stations in between it. So, yeah. Her
Right,
cell phone,
which I'm sure, right,
it doesn't mean that she was there. She didn't have an active phone. Or I should back that up. She did not have an active transmission from her phone anywhere near the Watts home at all. So,
another thing I wouldn't put past Nicole is, let's say she was in the area and investigators were able to prove that somehow. I wouldn't put past Nicole to maybe sit outside the house and be creepy to see if she could see them giving each other a smooch in the morning when he left for work or something, to be like, is that relationship really over? Is he really done with her? Because she kind of seems like that type of person.
You're absolutely right there. I wouldn't put that past her at all either.
Right.
But yeah, we know from the neighbor, from Chris's neighbor, she was confused on the day she saw Nicole's truck there, and that was she was a day later than she thought it was.
Betty, I think that was Betty, right?
Yeah. And she based her entire memory like a week later based on her husband's surgery and her doctor appointment, and then when she went to the gym. And I'm like, if somebody asked me, all right, it's now Friday, as we're actually recording this,
right.
Do you remember what happened on Monday? I'm like, yeah. Do you remember, did you see this vehicle out in front of your house? I'm like, well, maybe it was Monday. Yeah. And I'm like, no, it was actually Saturday when, when the vehicle was there. But you think back in time, you're like, oh, I remember seeing that vehicle. Yeah, you're right. A gray truck. Yeah, I remember seeing a gray truck parked out on the street there next to Chris's truck. Yeah. But you're a day off, or maybe 2 days or 3 days off. But that's the way memory works. It's like, yeah, I remember seeing that. Do I remember exactly what time of the day it was or when it was? Well, my husband had surgery, and then I went to the gym on Monday, and I remember seeing it early in the morning, before I went to the gym. So that'd been Monday, not Saturday. So, and it's kind of convenient that
it's
I was gonna say it's kind of convenient at the same time. She never wanted to give an actual testimony at all. She never even came forward when they asked her later on, in case it went to trial. She didn't want to stand up then and say, yeah, that's the day I saw the truck.
Yeah,
All
and
right.
we also know that, HR got involved to kind of handing over some evidence. And I believe someone probably tipped her off to that, and that's why she came forward. That's just my thoughts on that.
Yes. I'm trying to be nice here. I'm trying to if you ask questions in a certain way, they can be very leading to the answers that you're actually looking for. So we'll just say that. Is this the next question? The Rockies game?
Oh, sorry, you broke up a minute. Did you say this is the next question?
Yeah, the Rockies game was given to Chris by his work.
Yes. So,
He didn't have
the
to
question that he didn't pay for anything, and they're saying, nor did his coworker. Wrong again. Well, I think you've already proved this.
Oh yeah, yeah. So for the Rockies game, a lot of people want to point out over and over again that Christopher Watts received a bunch of gift cards from his work, and that's how he paid for everything. He didn't use the money from the bank account; he used the gift cards, which is completely wrong. When it came to the gift cards, the gift cards were to 3 different local businesses. They weren't Visas. They weren't prepaid MasterCards or American Express cards. They were to actual local businesses there only. 2 of them were pub restaurants, and one was like a pizzeria restaurant that served everything from I don't know how you describe it, because they had beer and wine, but they were more of a restaurant. But they had pizza, and they also had a lot of to-go menus. That was a vast majority of their food. So I don't know how the hell you price it. Casual, fast to go, I guess maybe. But yeah, that's where the gift cards were to. When he went to the Colorado Rockies game with his coworker, he paid for the gas. He bought a jersey there. He paid for beers for him and for his friend, and then his friend bought beers for the 2 of them. And then he went back, but he didn't have to pay for gas return because he already filled up his, Shannon. He took Shannon's car to that. But again, yeah, the gift cards weren't used for everything. They didn't pay for the vacation while Shannon was back home. He took his whore to, the camping trip weekend to sand surf, I guess it is. It didn't pay for the rental of the sand surf
The
or the
museum.
all of that. It didn't pay for the food, none of it. So, yeah.
Shelby Museum. And then I believe there's also a part where they went to some little shops, because there's a picture of him holding this crystal necklace that he bought for her.
Oh yeah. He bought the necklace with cash.
Yeah. So definitely.
City.
Yeah. Someone said that jersey was at least $100. Absolutely. I think that there had to be some discussions about the debt, because if they weren't super tight, he would have probably been embarrassed to be paying with these gift cards and things like that, right? Because she'd be thinking, why are you using gift cards all the time? So I think that they had these open discussions, and you can kind of just tell by the way she's talking to investigators. I walked in the house and everything just looked like money, money, money. And, they spent a lot of money.
Nicole Kessinger lived in an apartment, and he had an actual house. So he definitely looked like he was winning, or more advanced. And they worked for the same company. To answer Molly Collins, 73's question, the gift cards were from Andarco. They were kind of like a bonus that they gave to all the employees. It wasn't just Chris. So If they met certain quotas and certain things were done under value, like, okay, we have, and I say under value, it's like we have a budget of X amount of money. You save us money. We get this job done. The oil's pumping out. We get the oil pumped out. It's on rail cars and everything else, and it sells for later on. We make X amount here above. They wanted to share some of that with the employees. And on top of that, there was a bonus for days of productive with no injury, because they had a huge, and that's eventually what sank Anadarko in a lot of areas,
Yes.
Work-related injuries. So.
Yeah, they're being safe out there wearing what they're supposed to. This question was interesting that you got. Are you on daddy's payroll like all the others? Just tell us where NK is and end the video already.
Okay, so after so I got to back up here a little bit for my thoughts. So after Nicole did the one video that everybody knows about where she sat in an interrogation room, that was not the only conversation she had with the CBI and the local police department. It actually, I think that was the first one, and then there was another one that wasn't main conversation that was never recorded, and then she had a couple conversations in the park with the local police department as well, where they sat down and they asked for follow-up questions. Something like she was in the park and they asked them like, a question about the ducks in the feeding pod or anything like that. But they had follow-up questions. So like, did you see this person? Do you know this person? Kind of thing like that. Follow-up questions. But anyways, about Nicole Kessinger, her dad. Her dad paid a company to scrub the internet of her likeness and her name after Chris was brought up on charges of murdering the family. Not before his actual conviction. He started with this company, and celebrities, in Hollywood have access to these companies, and they're out there. Just Google it yourself about it, and you'll find these companies. They're PR firms, basically, and what they'll do is they will they'll not only force other companies to take down stories about you, but what they'll do is they will write another version of the story and how you're involved, and to spin it all the other direction. Now, depending upon what side of the political aisle you're on right the hell now, okay? I'm going to give you an example of this. That is today, like less than a week old. J.D. Vance, the Vice President of the United States of America, went on the Joe Rogan podcast and spun everything around the Epstein files and how you don't need to care about what's in the Epstein files, and about Donald Trump being the best person he can be, because that was his spin. That's what he gets paid to do, is to protect the guy that's above him and to spin any kind of negativity. Now, factually, we know. Factually, I don't give a shit, again, what side of the political aisle you're on. We know that Donald Trump is in the Epstein files a lot more than he wants to admit to. He's in there, and he's guilty of a lot of shit that he cannot back away from or get away from. It doesn't matter if it's J.D. Vance or whoever the hell it is, Kash Patel, whatever part of the administration it is. And I say that because that's what Nicole Kissinger's dad did, is he put pressure on places to take down their articles. And yes, during that question, when that question was actually posted, I got pressured to take down my videos about Nicole Kessinger, and to some extent, I did edit at least one. And I told Jennifer about another thing about a video that that was part of what I edited out. But he wanted to pressure everybody to take the videos down about her. And then he had this PR firm spin the story about her and her involvement with Chris to minimalize it completely, just like J.D. Vance just did this past week with Donald Trump. Okay? I don't care. Again, I don't give two rat shits and a fuck about what side of the political aisle you're on.
Right.
That's what's happening. You can't trust what the hell's happening anymore. And you couldn't trust what was happening during this investigation. So then Nicole Kessinger changed her name. And now I'm going to spill the beans. Nicole Kessinger got involved with another man after Christopher Watts, who was in a relationship. He was separated from his wife, and they weren't even following her. No one was following her. No one gave two rat shits about Nicole Kessinger after Christopher Watts went to prison for killing his family. But what happened was Nicole got involved with another man who was, again, he was in a relationship. He might have been separated, but he wasn't divorced. It wasn't like a legal separation. He was not living in the same household. But they weren't looking for her. They were following. TMZ was following another individual and documenting what he was doing. His daddy was part of the Bernie Madoff pyramid scheme. He worked for Bernie Madoff, and his son was living like a billionaire with no cares at all in the world. And he was in Colorado at a ski resort. I think it was Aspen or something like that. I can't remember exactly what the hell the name of the resort was. Doesn't matter. Anyways, but there are 6 people in the actual photograph. Nicole Kessinger is sitting there with no hat on at all, one of 2 people at all, and on top of the mountain, snow around them, and they're not even caring about her at all.
Wow.
And they want to talk to the millionaire's son about how he's spending money that was stolen from retirees and stuff like that. And she's sitting in the background, and
they don't even know who she is.
She looks right at the TMZ videographer, and kind of like turns her head to the left and looks at the guy that's kind of like in front of her, but then the lady behind her, and then puts her hand up with blocking the side of her temple with her hand, because she realized, oh shit, I'm on camera. But I know where she is today. I know what her name is today. And she's not doing a very good job of hiding herself now. But she's still out there.
Yeah, a lot of people think she's in this witness protection program. Like, you guys don't need any special degree or anything to investigate things. I mean, if you want to investigate, a lot of this shit is public record. You just need to know how to do it. I like how Sweet Universe said she still hasn't learned her lesson. No, she hasn't.
Joe Talchi. It says Universe, but Joe Talchi. But hey, and welcome. I was going to say hello earlier. But anyways, yeah, $37 is all it costs her. No joke. It's just like getting married and going in. You fill out, I think it's 1 page of a piece of paper, and then you have to add some kind of documentation. Or if you don't have a piece of documentation, you got married. You filed pay the $37 of 1 piece of paper. You go in front of a judge, and they go, "Why do you want to change your name?" And you say, "I'm doing it because I'm escaping the abuse of another." Boom, they rubber stamp it. You're done. That's your new name. in a lot of jurisdictions across America. Now, there are some that are a little more difficult, and no, they're not the liberal states. They're a lot easier in the states where you wouldn't think it would be.
Someone asks, do you think she'll write a book?
No.
I don't think so either.
Nope. If I had to put my odds on anything at all, on anybody from this entire thing, the Rooshchecks and the Watts family, I think it's going to be Cindy, because she's a complete narcissist and she doesn't
really think
anything she's ever done wrong.
Oh, she would never learn either. Yeah, that's true. I don't think she would. She seems to get in this cycle of being in these shitty relationships. Like she doesn't know any better.
Yeah.
I honestly just don't think she's a good person in general. Yes, people change, but from what you and I have discussed privately, I feel like she is living the same path that she was on 8 years ago. We're talking 8 years later.
Yeah.
And I feel she's still on that, just not in a good path.
Nope.
Oh, someone asked, I wouldn't buy Cindy's book.
Joe Talchi.
Didn't Cindy start writing a book? I don't know if that was true or not. A little bit got released, and I don't know if it was made up or not, but there was like a little bit of a book that was, or a couple chapters of a book that was released, but I don't know if it was real or not.
I don't know either, to tell you the truth. But if I have to buy an actual book from any of them, I would probably take a signed copy from Sandy's cookbook.
Sandy's cookbook.
Have you ever followed?
I mean, I do, Will, but they don't like me. They don't like me.
No. Well, look,
And
I don't have the best relationship with Frankie Jr. either. So,
well, actually, I'll say this: I've never had words with Sandy, or had any volatility back and forth. I have with Frank Sr. and Frank Jr. And for those of you who don't know me, I am a former journalist just like Will. So I saw a story that Frankie was hard on times and he wanted to start a painting business. So he started a fundraiser for this painting business. Well, I saw this story and I said to myself, that just doesn't sound right. I would feel like they're financially stable. So I reached out to Frankie to confirm or deny, that this fundraiser is true. And for some reason, they didn't like that. And I got a comment on my page one day saying, leave my daughter alone. I do not post any mean, cruel videos about Shanann. But I think maybe what rubbed them the wrong way is one day I did a video and someone asked me in the comment section, where's Armchair Detective? And I said, you know what? I don't know where he is. So I did some digging and I found him and I reached out to him for a comment and he told me I'm not going to talk about the case anymore. He said, but I'm alive and well. So I did a story saying he's alive and well. Well, I think covering any aspect of AD is what set them off.
Yeah. They had a long, very long legal battle against him.
Yes.
And because that's hard. You have to remember, we're here in the United States with this, story and case to unfold it, and he's over there and use the protection, and the swindling of, pensioners to live his lifestyle. Yeah. But I'm happy to report that the Rushek family finally won.
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
And what's funny is like, I believe, I don't know if you did a video on it, but I was like one of the only people who, did a video update on that. And I'm like, it's so funny and ironic that they hate me, yet I'm actually delivering true factual news that, is in their favor. But I also did an interview with Nicole Atkinson, and we talked only about her breast cancer. If you want to watch that video, it's under my live streams. And I didn't like that they begged Nicole not to speak with me. I think they thought I was going to try to pry information out of Nicole in regards to the case. And I would never do that. I would never ask her those questions on a live stream. That's absolutely not what I wanted to do. I think that Nicole, I feel really bad for Nicole, honestly. I'm trying to filter myself so I don't say something wrong here. Nicole is more than what happened to her in this story, I guess is a good way to say it. And a lot of people only see this one terrible thing that happened is like her story. And it's not. And I get like really defensive over that. So I didn't like that they didn't want her to speak out, because I feel Nicole has a lot of things she could speak out about, and kind of asking her not to do an interview with me rubbed me the wrong way. I have no ill will towards the family or anything, but I just didn't like that. I also don't know. Maybe there's something they heard about me that I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, I do follow Sandy's.
You both have a shared life experience that because you both could have talked about. Just like I could have done the same thing. Maybe, hopefully, sweetheart. My wife will come on and do one of these, and the two of you guys can, definitely talk about that shared life experience. Because our lives, they're not mingled like this, but we have so many life experiences, just like Nicole. It's same thing. But I saw Kmark, just commented about Aussie Dave, and I want to just point out that there were a lot of people like Bullhorn Betty, Aussie Dave, that were chasing not the clout, but they were chasing the dollars, and I know these people. Both of them, and I'm only bringing them up because I know them personally. They're not as awful as a lot of people want us to believe that they are. They were just chasing, and they may have looked like, they may have come across as believing in it, and everything else, but they're not. All right, not so much for Aussie Dave. But for Bullhorn Betty, not so much. They're not as awful as everybody wants them to be. That's their stick, I guess.
Yeah. I get it. Honestly, you guys,
you have to be in your face.
I've also collaborated with Dave one time. But the backlash I got was before collaborating with Dave. And I'll be honest with you, Dave is really he checks on me every so often. Like, he knows I have health issues. He'll be like, how are you doing? Just checking on you, and I think a lot of people might not expect that from him. But
he's a decent individual.
And Alan did too, honest to God. He's like, I'm so sorry you had MS. My mom had MS. And like you said, there is a part of this that, it is like, I think that people get very passionate too, right?
Oh,
like
yeah.
they are passionate about the research they've done and what they believe to be true. And I see that. I've had a lot of people also say to me, because I'm a small channel and I couldn't figure out why, out of all the channels out there, and we know there's a lot that talk about this case, people
Right.
with 60, 70, 80K subscribers, and I'm, below, I don't even know what I'm at. Maybe I'm at 7K. I don't know. And I said to myself, why the hell is Frank and Frank Jr. commenting on my page? And someone said to me, it could be because your background in journalism is something that they don't like. And I said, I don't know. Okay, maybe. I don't know. But I never have asked them, to talk to me or hounded them. I know they don't want to talk. I mean, they went on Dr. Phil, for Christ's sake, right? Like, they're not going to talk to I do know they collaborated with a YouTuber back in the day. But I could see, like you said, Sandy maybe one day writing a book. She doesn't need to talk to me or anyone else about her experience. It's, I respect that they have the feelings they have towards me, but I've never made videos, Will, where I've talked bad about the family or anything like that. Do I have my opinion sometimes on parenting? Sure, but I don't make videos about it.
So, the Atlanta station, was it ABC? The last station you were at?
The last station, I was at the Fox station, but then before that, the CBS. Yeah.
Yeah. So, when you left Fox, how many subscribers did you have?
God, I don't know. Well, you know what? I wasn't posting YouTube videos like I was until
a lot less then, right?
Yeah.
So it's just a number.
Yeah.
That don't ever place your value, and this goes to everybody else out there who's got especially if you have a daughter or somebody who's just starting out. If you're thinking like, hey, I want to start a YouTube channel. It's just a number. Let your voice be heard. You started. You left Fox, Weather Channel.
Yeah.
How the fuck that happened? But okay, well, let's go with it anyways. But anyways.
I mean, I got MS. So.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't like you had any control over it.
Right.
I mean, but how many subscribers you got? Does it mean that you were less of an unbiased reporter than you are now? No. You asked the right question. You were asking because you have an audience that you felt that you have. Now, I don't think that the Roost Checks ever looked at you as an enemy. And I think that a lot of that was the timing was going on with Armchair Detective and all the other outwardly, things that are coming in on them. I think if they look back on it now, like you just said, they would look at it and go, you're more of an advocate, or if for the story, but you're a journalist. You're asking the question. I've run into that my entire, career, on YouTube, just like you are going to, you're doing it right now.
Yeah.
It's like we ask the questions because we have an audience for the answers, right? And that's why we're here doing this tonight.
Right. And we have people who still 8 years later think that another person possibly got away with murder. That's serious shit.
I know.
Right? That's serious shit. If there's people, and I'm telling you, I do have some subscribers from Frederick who do think that there is a woman walking the streets right now that got away with murdering 4 people.
Trust me. Oh man, like you mentioned briefly earlier. If there's anybody out there that never wants to cover the Christopher Watts case, it's me. I've lost more people than I'll ever gain from the Christopher Watts case. But the one thing about you, Jennifer, is we have a mindset for the truth, and we have a mutual respect as journalists. That immediately we know our journalistic integrity, and we're not going to talk about shit. And this goes before doing this, with you before then too, is we have a journalistic integrity. We don't talk about it unless we have facts. And I think that speaks a lot. Maybe in today's society, it doesn't play out that way anymore because everybody's like so busy fighting each other from each side. But and people want to be on that side or this side.
Oh yeah, like this comment right here. Absolutely true. I know what gets views. I know what gets views, but it's not important to me. Otherwise, I would be churning those videos out every day. And it's the Nicole Kessinger videos.
Put your green framed glasses on. Those are the ones that catch my view immediately. Those green framed glasses.
I know, man. People are going to be really disappointed that I got an eye exam and now I don't have to wear it.
Get the fake lenses in them then. I mean, but I'm telling you that I'm just talking about as a man and your friend is the green frame glasses and you in the car. And for some reason I see that and I'm like, oh, I got to see what Jennifer's talking about. I don't even read the title anymore. I'm like, I see the green frame glasses on, and it's like, oh, and then I see, oh, I'm going to be on a game show. I'm like, oh, I don't care if she's going to be on a game show. I really don't. In that respect. I mean, I care about it as you as a friend,
as a person, right?
I mean, but it immediately, but what caught my attention, and it's not me. I'm just looking at the thumbnail and everything else. That's today's society. 60 seconds or less. You're in the green framed glasses. It's like you got to catch them, and that's all they care about.
Yeah, you only literally have a few seconds to.
Oh yeah, I mean, think about this video. How many people have popped in, popped out,
right?
List out. They're not going to watch this until later on. Maybe they'll click back on it if we have a good thumbnail, or something like that. If someone
invests 2 hours and 35 minutes, you are a badass. Thank you for it if you do.
I still have more questions for you.
Well, let me do this one real quick, and then I'll let you do one of your other. Okay. Was he going to kill Nicole Kessinger? And I think we already know why he wouldn't kill himself. He's a narcissist, right?
Right.
And I also wanted to throw up here, if anyone is feeling suicidal, there is a crisis number you can call 988.
Please do.
I don't think he would have killed Kessinger. That's just my thought. What do you think?
Absolutely.
You do.
She's a bump. No, she was a bump in the road. No, she meant nothing to him. She may have actually had real, true emotions for him. And it's going to sound, piggish, but men immature men, even older men, younger men, whatever. I don't give you can't put a number on the age or whatever, but we're pigs. We're absolute fucking pigs. You know, at the core of us, we love that carnal experience. Let's put it that way. So if she would have said,
I think he also loved like being chased, right? Like he thought that was probably so cool. Like this chick is chasing me.
there's probably something to that. Yeah, definitely. But he wanted what he could get, and he did a lot of things with Nicole, and he told Nicole that he could not do with Shanann, and that's what he was after. How far can I push this until she walks away?
Yeah.
So. Ooh.
Okay, you can ask me.
All right, here we go.
You said you had a couple questions.
Hold on. All right, we'll narrow it down to two. Ooh, boy, which one should I ask?
I mean, you can ask them all, but I feel like I feel bad for people because we've only gotten through to like 11 questions, so we might have to do another live stream where we answer the rest.
I still have 2 pages left. These are just ones that my subscribers wanted me to ask you. Let's see. Let's go with this one. When it comes to the family dynamic, the Ruschecks and the Wattses, we know that the one family moved into the house to help them with the mortgage. Do you feel that that would have been more of a strain on the relationship between Chris and Shanann, and that would have possibly been the breaking point?
Okay. You know, something interesting about these two also, we have to remember they lived with a friend before their house was built in Colorado for an entire year. And that friend and Shanann had a falling out. You know, they always say that term, like, don't do business with a friend because you're going to destroy the relationship when things go wrong. I think that kind of fits into this dynamic where you're around each other too much and it damaged things, but I don't by any means think it was the catalyst to why all of this happened. I think the money and the spending was. I think that Shanann had aspirations to be successful. She wasn't there yet, but she continued to think, I'm going to get there. I'm going to get there. I'm going to get there. And I just think that they were about to go into another bankruptcy. And I feel that Chris was really at the point where he was like, I don't even care anymore. My life's over. And he took a chance on possibly getting away with this. And then think about it too. If he got away with this,
right,
he could have collected life insurance money or started over or, you know, done something along. Sometimes I don't think he planned it out very smart. For someone who says they were plotting and planning this for weeks, like, and you'll have to tell me this. Do you think that that's something Sherilyn Cadle made up, or do you think he really was plotting this for weeks? Because she's the one who said that in the book. He told her he was fantasizing. Now, when you say fantasizing, that to me means maybe every day you're driving to work, you're 45 minutes out to the oil field thinking, well, I'm a really good mechanic. I could take the brakes out on her car and then they could get into an accident and die. No, that won't work. Well, we're going to North Carolina. What if they drown in the pool? you know, like when you say he was fantasizing about it, it makes me think he was thinking of ways to do this. And then obviously the way you did it doesn't seem like you planned it at all.
All right. So first off, I'll say I know Mrs. Cadle. So I'm not going to judge how she wrote her book. And I'm going to leave that at that part. But for the rest of it, I think that there's a possibility that he definitely, tried to kill the girls beforehand. He admitted to that.
Yeah.
So was there a premeditation? I think that the love affair with Nicole Kissinger, it was kind of like, here's a little fire. It was going.
Mm-hmm.
And it was gasoline on it. But now I do not base that in what I know from psychology and what my wife definitely would know. But that's just my own gut feeling, though.
Yeah, and I think even having the Rusick family out there, if anything, it probably made their relationship stronger because they had someone to babysit the kids for free.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So that they could go out and have a date night. You came home from dinner every night, came home for dinner every night. Probably Sandy was the one making meals so that Shanann could work on Thrive, right? I mean, and what's Frankie and Frank doing is probably putzing around the house, looking for things to do to keep themselves busy. I could think it would only help strengthen their relationship. And then they had $1,000 coming in every month, because they were paying rent. So yes, you're not going to get your privacy, but shit, I mean, you two could go camping and get your privacy. Or I'm sure there's times where they took the girls out of the house and went to the park and, did those things. But I definitely don't think it was the tipping point for why Chris did what he did. I think it was the finances, if that's the best way to answer that question that someone had for me.
It'd be awesome, if they spent that $1,000 to paying down their bills, but
or saved it for the girls' college fund or a trade school or whatever the girls wanted to do one day.
Yeah, they used approximately, I guess you'd call it 70% of it, paying down their debts. They ate out a lot, and they took short trips, and that money that they got is what actually from Sandy, and it got them into the private school because there was a hefty deposit to get them into the private school. So
that makes sense.
They used the money to pay down their debts and then avoid bankruptcy again. And then they just kept on spending again. If they had $8,000 coming in, they spent $8,500 every month, and it wasn't just one; it was both of them. But all right. So next question from my viewers to you: potential co-conspirators. The true crime community frequently debates whether Watts had assistance in planning the murders or concealing the bodies, particularly regarding the involvement of his former mistress. Do you, Jennifer, think that she somehow led him to where and how he would dispose of the bodies?
No. If I'm being brutally honest.
Wow, here's particularly you're playing the video again. I didn't even look up to see that.
Honestly, I think Nicole Kessinger is smarter. she would come up with a better way to hide those bodies if she had something to do with it. I'm just saying, guys, like, I think we're talking about a really dark person who had trouble early on. You know, we've seen the mugshot. I don't post it because I signed a release with the sheriff's office in, I believe it was Aurora, Colorado, saying I will not distribute this photo and I don't want to get in trouble. You've probably seen the photo, but I choose not to post it or do videos about it because I signed my name and I take that really seriously. But we're talking about a woman who was getting in trouble in her adolescence and continues to have these relationships that are not the best, you know, like with single men. So I just do get a dark vibe from her, almost like no empathy. A great example I like to compare. If people follow the Wade Wilson case, did you follow that case, Will?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I didn't cover it, but I followed it.
But you followed it. Okay. So
yeah.
Mila was Wade's main squeeze, like his girlfriend, you know, he had a ton of them, but that was his main girl. When she found out Wade killed someone, she lost her shit and she was just bawling because she felt terrible that she knew a human being that could do that to someone else. We don't see any emotion from Nicole Kessinger. I mean, I feel like she tried, you know, vocally to be like, those girls were so little and she's pregnant. But we don't see any real tears or like emotion. And that rubbed me the wrong way. So I get the vibe. She's into kind of, I don't know, darker stuff, maybe. Not saying she's into witchcraft or anything, but I just think that if she was involved in this, we would never know where those bodies were. That's what I'm just going to say. She's a lot smarter than Chris. She would know what to do to make sure that no one ever finds out where they are and what happened.
I agree. I think she probably, you know, if she was more involved.
Leave Jim alone. No, just leave Jim alone.
But
no, leave Jim alone. Just leave him alone. No. Yeah. Leave Jim alone.
All right. So last question, and then we can wrap it up after the. We've been going for a while.
Yeah, because we're almost going on 3 hours. And so, Will, you're going to have to agree to do another live stream because we only got to question 11.
Jennifer,
okay.
we've got, besides this, we've got a lot more, cases we can cover. And we definitely have to. Do you think just what you know, was it more of a crime of passion or premeditated on Christopher Watts' part?
That's a hard one. You know why it's hard? Because you talked a lot about the adrenaline. Remember how you were talking about it takes, like you said, when you have to lift a car off of someone when the jack falls down. It's like there was this adrenaline I feel like he had. So I think that Chris said some words or did things to provoke Shanann, to kind of stir up a fight, to amp himself up to do what he did, if that makes sense. So it's like he created a heat or a passion, like he premeditated to get her worked up so that he could build himself up to get the courage to do what he was going to do to her. But then there's also some people who think he did everything while she was asleep because she didn't fight back. So
raise your hand if she was asleep.
Yeah. So it's hard. It's like I feel like if she was awake, he would have to do something to get her pissed off, to get himself amped up to do what he did. But I also think he's a coward, and he probably did do it while she was sleeping.
How long have you been married, Jennifer?
10 years.
Yeah. All right. Wait for the next 10 years. I've been married.
Oh, that's another thing.
I've been married 35 years now, and sometimes it feels like if I blink the wrong way, it like the conversation goes fucking awkward. But we don't fight, and I haven't killed her or anything. So here at the end, I'm going to give you my view. I have no facts to back this at all, and how this all happened. Shanann came home from the airport. Nicole dropped her off. Atkins dropped her off. Hate that I have to say Atkins. It wasn't Kessinger. But
it's
anyway.
Actually Atkinson, but I didn't want to correct you. It's okay though.
Nicole dropped her off. She came in. We have the video of her coming in, and everything else. So the amount of conversation was beforehand from the car inside, but she came inside. She left her suitcase, I think, at the bottom of the stairs. She went inside, and just like any other trip that she had taken away from the family, the kids were asleep. I think Chris was asleep. And now again,
you think he actually fell asleep that night?
No.
Okay, because I was gonna say, like, the anxiety of, like, I get excited before I go on a road trip. Like, I can't sleep. I'm so excited. So I picture him to be like sitting there waiting for her to walk in the door.
No, I don't think he had that rage or jealousy or anything like that would have kept him awake, to want to confront her the moment she came in the door.
Yeah.
I think he was asleep, and she came into the bedroom. Maybe she went to the bathroom. She needed to do what she needed to do. Maybe use the bathroom itself because it was a long flight, or whatever. Maybe she didn't stop at, when Nicole picked her up and brought her home, and she took off her makeup, probably with like Pond's,
Oh yeah, they're on the desk. Actually, it was funny. I watched one of the, is it True Crime Rocket Science? He like scopes every inch of that house out, and he said that they were cleaning wipes, and I'm like, dude, those are makeup wipes. But yeah. Okay, so she had those next to the desk, so you're right, she probably
yeah. Well, maybe the creator behind True Crime Rocket, whatever, doesn't have a wife. So anyways, I've seen my wife take trips and come home, and that, she uses the bathroom, whatever, I'm kind of basing this on experience myself, and takes off her makeup, puts her hair up, gets into whatever she's going to wear to bed. And to my wife, it's, a nightgown, like, I hate it, but it doesn't matter. I'm not putting my own, views into it anymore. But she gets into whatever, and she walks into the bedroom, takes off her watch, puts it on the table, slides in underneath the comforter, and maybe she cuddled up next to Chris to let him know, hey, I'm home. I got home safe, and that's it. Chris wakes up in his mind. He already thought about it. He's already tried to kill the girls once, and he knows that he can't afford the child support and an apartment on his salary and alimony or anything else. He's got to do it, and I think he just rolled over. He is facing the opposite direction on his side. This is my own mental reconstruction. I have no facts to this. He's facing the other direction, and he rolls over and he looks at her, and that's it. And he pushes the comforter off of himself, and he jumps up on top of her while she's under the comforter. She can't fight back.
Mm-hmm.
He's got the blankets, the comforter and everything else, and he pins her down from the top of the hips and her arms, and he strangles her. What was he thinking? I don't think anything at all. I don't think he was thinking anything except for he needed to end this. He had to end this. It couldn't be divorce. He couldn't afford divorce. He couldn't afford child support, alimony, nothing. The house, the bills that he just racked up, a couple months prior with a quad runner in the trailer. He's probably looking at, at the fact that he used the vehicle again for the umpteenth time, for personal use. It's going to come back on him. All of this is playing through his fucking head. And he kills her. He strangles her to death. And he's like, oh shit. How am I going to explain this? What am I going to do? And that's his number one thought, is getting rid of her. And I think Bella woke up, or maybe it was Celeste who, made noise. And he's like, fuck. Now what? Now.
Yeah.
And now what do I do? I mean, and then his mind just shut off, and he didn't think. I mean, he did think, but he didn't think he was thinking, and he killed the two girls. Now,
Twice for the sec. Yeah.
I have no proof to what I just said, but I don't base it on personal experience. I base it on knowledge of the multitudes of family annihilators that I've read about and I've studied over the years. And I think that is how it played out. And I would love to think that Shanann was asleep and she never had a look at his face at all, because it had to be the darkest, deepest fucking void that she saw as she slipped from fucking this world, just like the girls.
Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, when you say that, it makes you really think it would be, and if you believe in heaven or, that kind of thing, it would be nicer to know that she crossed over to the other side and then found out what happened versus waking up from a dead sleep and seeing him, in your face like that.
On the other side, because the three of them are in heaven.
Yes.
I don't think that my benevolent protector in Almighty God needs to tell them how they died. They just died. You don't know? That's okay. I don't need to tell you. Welcome to heaven.
There's been some interesting psychics that I've watched on TikTok who have, said to have connected with Shanann. And there was one that said something really interesting. And I was like, it honestly kind of sounds like it would be Shanann. And someone asked if she had, and like I'm saying, you guys, this is entertainment purposes only. I know there's people who are like, mediums aren't real. I get that. but the person asked, is Shanann angry at Nicole Kessinger? Does she think she had something to do with it? And the spirit of Shanann told this psychic, no, she didn't have anything to do with it. And she just wanted love too. And I forgive her. And I was like, wow, like if that's real, it sounds kind of like something she would be a forgiving person. But yeah, like it's one of those things we don't have a scientific explanation to say to you, yes, they're in heaven. We also have that Dr. Phil interview where Sandy said she's had visitations from them, which I love hearing that. I loved to see the smile on her face when she talked about it. I'm sure even like today is a really hard day for the family with it being Cece's birthday, and she would have been 11.
I just pray that there's a special place in hell for people like Christopher Watts. The deepest, darkest place in hell. I can't fit a torture in hell that is fitting for him, other than entire damnation of fire, and then reliving each and every second of what he did. That's it. And that's all he ever gets for eternity. And to all those people out there who may have watched tonight's stream with us and have questions that we didn't get to. And I know that there have been several. And thank you to every one of you for being here tonight with us. But we definitely have a part 2 we have to do, because
yes.
I still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I got nine more for Jennifer.
Oh my God! And like I said, we only got to question 11 in the ones that were made up. So
yeah, we wait, 22, 25, something like that.
Yeah,
we only got half of them. So we're definitely gonna have to do another part 2. So
yeah,
tuned.
you guys let us know. I mean, Fridays were good for me. So
subscribe to Deadline Crime.
And subscribe to Will if you don't already.
Subscribe to Deadline Crime. She puts out a lot of great videos and shorts. She'll eventually wear those green framed glasses again.
Yeah, I will. I definitely will. Well, I want to thank you so much for collaborating. I feel like I've poked and begged you to do this, and because I knew it was going to be good conversation. And I love that you've had a lot of the same, not just like career experiences, but like personal life experiences too. Our kids are similar, and I went through breast cancer. His wife went through. I mean, I'm always hitting Will up, asking him questions. He's been very helpful too in growing my channel when I have questions about things. So send us an email if you have questions that didn't get answered. You can email Will, or you can email me, or you can even put them in the comment section of this video and it goes live.
Yeah, should be live right now.
Yeah, it should.
It should be.
All right, guys, thank you so much. And once
here.
again, I'm gonna throw up those donations. If you feel like you were touched by the story of this case, please, even like Will said, donate $1, anything to these organizations. Lupus Foundation meant a lot to Shanann. And happy heavenly birthday to Cece. Good night, guys.
Good night, everyone.